Many may have noticed that immediately after entering Chapter 10 in Liza P, we are shown a vertical vista of bridges, platforms, and caves. Naturally, one would assume they're showing off the paths that we will walk upon throughout the chapter. However, as we walk further down the intended path, it becomes apparent that this is not the case. It wasn't long before modders took a deeper look into this area and realized it was meant to be a major part of the chapter, but no one has been able to reach these paths without mods. That is, until now. Let's take a look at how we can get there and how this area may have been utilized if it were not cut from the game. This is going to take advantage of some exploits and glitches that speedrunners use. It is important to note that you will need a higher frame rate for a more consistent chance at success. I perform this at 120 FPS on PC, therefore it may be difficult or even impossible if playing on a console capped at a lower frame rate. The only other requirements for these tricks are two handles. The booster glaive handle found in a chest next to the Puppet of the Future in Vanini's factory, and the Great Sword of Fate handle, either acquired at the start of the game or the merchant right before Parade Master. Note that the blade does not matter, but it is beneficial to use a lighter blade for the sake of speed, especially when making multiple attempts. Start off at the first Stargazer and make your way down the hill where you'll see a small fence on the cliff. Wrap around the edge of this fence and stand roughly at the middle part. You want to aim for the rock highlighted on screen and do a fully charged heavy attack. If done correctly, you should safely land there. Head toward the top of this rock, but be careful as it is really easy to slide off the sides. At the top, you'll want to switch to your weapon with the greatsword handle. Stand roughly where I am and look at the wall with the small ledge below it. From here, you'll want to perform a light attack, followed by a charged heavy attack. Immediately after you see the lunge from the heavy attack, hold the block button. If done correctly, your momentum should fling you forward, allowing you to land on the ledge. This is known as a zip within the speedrunning community, with the name being a nod to a similar but more intense glitch in Elden Ring. Expect there to be a lot of inconsistency when attempting to perform this. The input timing on the block can be extremely precise, and the speed that you zip can greatly vary. I've personally fallen off the ledge numerous times when trying this. As mentioned before, a higher frame rate should increase the likelihood of success. Once you're on this ledge, shimmy across to the other end and stand as far onto the edge of it as you possibly can. Aim roughly for the closest part of the cliff on the other side and perform another charged heavy attack with your glaive. From here, you now have access to a majority of the cut content area. There is one final trick you will need to do later on in order to truly reach the top, but we'll revisit that later. I've sped up a run of the general route through this area. There are a few side paths and dead ends which were likely to be used for some items and chests. Overall, it follows a classic Souls-like structure, just like the rest of the areas in the game. On a side note, this entire area becomes shrouded in fog after completing the chapter and taking the submarine, so be sure to do it prior to beating the chapter if you want a clearer view. I'm unsure what the reason for this is, so let me know in the comments if anyone has an idea why. At the top you will reach a dead end, where it is apparent there is supposed to be a ladder, but we still have a way to deal with that. With your greatsword handle out, walk onto these rocks and position your feet onto the large gap shown here. You then want to face the portion of the rocks highlighted on screen. Similar to before, perform a light attack followed by a charged heavy attack, but this time you do not want to hold block. If done correctly, you should get launched several feet into the air, and as soon as you do, perform a roll or sprint towards the upper platform. This is known as a boost in the speedrunning scene. It can take a bit of trial and error, but it tends to be much easier and safer to perform than the zip earlier. You will now have access to a remainder of the area, and while there isn't too much, it leads us to an endpoint where you are greeted with a view of Hotel Krat in the distance. So what exactly is going on here? Well, if we take the debug camera out, we can piece together that this green lab room was possibly where we were supposed to start the chapter after taking the elevator from Hotel Krat. We would have then descended down the cliffs, caves, and bridges that we took to get up here. Another interesting discovery is that the elevator shaft we start at near the Stargazer actually leads directly to the top near that green room. This implies it was originally going to be used as an unlockable shortcut, but was repurposed to make it seem like it was the Krat elevator. And finally, we have yet a third elevator shaft in the vicinity of that green room, this time leading all the way down to the bottom area where the submarine is called, with its purpose likely being yet another unlockable shortcut. And that's how you get to the cut content of Chapter 10. Now we can understand why it is the shortest chapter in the game. That being said, NeoWiz created an amazing game, and cutting out some content is just part of that process. Thank you all for watching, and best of luck to anyone who's looking to try this themselves. Be sure to give this video a like if it helped out.